Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Class 4 trailer hitch receiver on our 2014 Ram 3500 cab and chassis. But before we do that, why don't we check this out and make sure that this is going to work for you. So when it comes to these cab and chassis, you know, they're big trucks and people do a lot of stuff related to work with them, pulling a lot of trailers around and everything else. And being a cab and chassis, you know, they're all kind of set up a little bit different. And so a lot of people are probably wondering, I know I would be, is if the hitch is even going to fit, right? Well, it's going to fit the cab and chassis frame rails, no problem. The issue is with these flatbeds and stuff, you know, they're all a little bit different. People build them how they want them, and a lot of things change. And so it's really not so much the frame, it's what you got going on around it. With that said, you know, I'd like to just throw out a couple of measurements right off the bat. That way, if you can do something with them, great. It might help you out determining if it'll fit with your particular vehicle, you know, whether you have a bumper beam like this one here that sticks out further or whatever you got going on. So probably the first one that we'll do is from the top of the flange here where the hitch actually bolts to the bottom of the frame rail down to the bottom of the flange there. So that distance is going to be about 8 1/4 of an inch. And what I'll do now, hopefully you can do something with these measurements. If not really a big deal, but the side plate here at the bottom of it, as far as the width is concerned, it's going to be about 4.5 inches. And as far as the furthest point, way up top here, that's going to be about 10.5 inches. So hopefully that helped you out a little bit. If you can do something with them, great. But enough of that. Let's kind of talk about the hitch itself. So this is going to be a Class 4 hitch, and it's going to have that 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening. So as you guys probably know, it's really common size. A lot of different stuff works with it. Reinforced collar there at the end, and it is going to use that standard 5/8 pin and clip. Pin and clip doesn't come included. If you need one though, not really a huge deal. Grab it right here at eTrailer. And these safety chain openings are going to be relatively large, pretty thick, and you should be able to use just about any size hook that your trailer might have. As far as the hitch's weight capacities go, they're going to be pretty high. The maximum gross tongue weight rating is going to be 1,000 pounds, and so that's going to be the amount of weight that's pushing down on the hitch. And the maximum gross trailer weight rating is going to be 10,000 pounds, and that's going to be the amount of weight that is pulling on the hitch. So weight of the trailer plus anything that you might have on it. This setup can be used with the weight distribution system, which is a separate component. What happens is whenever you use that, the trailer and your truck are going to ride level whenever you're going down the road. With that said, if you use the weight distribution, the weight capacities are going to increase a little bit. Maximum gross tongue weight rating will go up to 1,200 pounds, and the maximum gross trailer weight rating will increase to 12,000 pounds. But with that said, you know, I always like to recommend it's never a bad idea just to grab your truck's owner's manual. That way you can make sure your Ram can pull up much weight safely. So now we can go ahead, grab a couple more measurements here, and these are going to help you figure out what type of hitch mounted accessories to get. And keep in mind too, depending on your truck, you know, these measurements can vary a little bit, you know, what size tires you got and everything else. So we'll go from the center of the hitch pin hole. If you come down to the back of our bed here, straight down, in our case, it's going to be about 3 inches. And so you might be able to use that if you're wanting to put like a salt spreader back here, some other type of accessory along them lines. If you go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be about 18.5 inches. And chances are pretty good, you know, if you're pulling your trailer around, you can get a ball mount that has a slight drop in its shank. I do just kind of want to compare this hitch to some of the others. This one for the cab and chassis is a little on the light side in terms of how much weight it can handle and stuff. There are some other ones available that are really beefy, and you know, the weight capacities are kind of all over the place. So depending on what you're doing with it, that's really going to be the determining factor to me, right? If you know for a fact you got some medium, you know, somewhat heavy bumper pull trailers, and you know you're not going to even come close to exceeding this, and cares, right? If you know all your really heavy stuff is with your gooseneck or your fifth wheel, then you got what you need. But if you know that you're going to be pulling some really heavy bumper pulls, you know, maybe some of those other hitches are worth looking into. But with that said, you know, at the end of the day, it's just going to depend on what you're trying to do with it. As far as the installation goes, it wasn't terrible. The worst part about it is just having to drill all the holes. So be prepared to, you know, have some sore arms after drilling all these holes out of the frame. Definitely recommend getting a sharp drill bit and a good drill. That'll really make your life a little bit easier during this. But it's straightforward. You know, you kind of hold the hitch up, mark where you need to drill it out, and it kind of just bolts right in. So not complicated, just have to use your muscles a little bit. But speaking of installation, why don't we go ahead, pull into the garage, and put it on together now. To begin your installation, you're going to be here at the back of your truck, and the very first thing that you want to do is take your hitch and put it up to the bottom of your frame. You probably need a friend to do this, but there's an alignment pin that we'll show you in a second that'll get you in the spot where you want it. And once you have it like that, you can use some clamps or vice grips, whatever you got, to secure it to the bottom of your frame rail. So here's kind of a better look at the bottom of it. So this circle here in the hitch that lines up with this, looks like a big rivet, or kind of an alignment pin, I guess you could call it. That lines up with that. That's where you know where to position the hitch. So once it's clamped up there, you got 3 attachment points. This hole here, this one there, as well as this one. And what I did was just take a marker and kind of go in the center of it and put a mark in those attachment points, and that's where we know where we need to drill. I do want to mention as well, from this point on, anything we do to one side, we're going to do to the other side as well, because it'll be set up the same way. But once you have your alignment pin or alignment marks made, I feel like it'll be easier just to let the hitch come down, and that way we have a little more room to work whenever we're drilling. So like I said, with those marks made, I'm going to loosen up our clamps here and get the hitch out of the way for now. So now we can get our holes drilled. So we marked where we need to go, and we're going to enlarge them to the size indicated in the instructions. When you're drilling, be careful. You know, every truck might be set up differently. If you have wiring or hoses or anything that runs along through there, you know, be conscious of that. If you have to put a piece of wood or a piece of steel to protect them while you're drilling, go ahead and do that. Pretty thick stuff here. The biggest trick or the best advice that I have when drilling through real thick steel like this, obviously a really good drill bit helps. And I've had the best luck with kind of a lower speed, medium speed with really high pressure. Good cutting compound you can put on the bit. I'm really just trying to keep your bit cool, you know, prevent it from burning up. And, you know, so if you got to drill for a minute, take a break, let it cool, whatever you need to do, switch bits. That's the best advice I have for you. So I'll go ahead and get all these drilled out. So once you get through, you're just going to repeat that same process for the remaining attachment points. Good news is this one here at the back is definitely the worst. And I got 2 layers of steel as opposed to just the one. So it should be a little bit easier from here on out once you get the ones here at the back done first. So once you have all your holes drilled, what I did was just kind of clean up the bottom of our frame rail, hit it with some spray paint and let it dry. That way we just, you know, we don't have bare metal anywhere when we put our hitch up. I feel like it'd be easier to get some of our hardware started now as opposed to when the hitch is up. It's just kind of my thought. So that's what we're gonna do. For the 2 holes close to the front of the truck, what you're gonna do is take carriage bolt, one of these spacer blocks, right? And then you'll just reach in and drop them in, you know, from the inside of our frame there. I think these are the only 2 that we're gonna do. You'll have a 3rd bolt. Eventually, once the hitch is up, you're gonna have like a regular bolt and a flat washer, and that's supposed to come in from the top down. Not real sure how that's gonna work with this bolt here and everything, but we will figure it out and go from there. So now what we can do, I got these in on the other side as well. We'll get our hitch back up in position here. So for this bolt here, I was kind of just playing with it. I loosened this this bolt up and kind of pushed it in, and that'll give us the clearance that we need, hopefully, to get this in. With that said, it kind of looks like the washer might hit that rivet and not line up, so we may end up coming back and filing this down a little bit to get everything to fit, but just wanted to point that out. I think we're in a position now where we can get our hitch lifted up and actually get it loosely bolted on. So we'll go ahead and get this lifted up. Hopefully everything lines up the way it should. And once our bolts drop through, we're going to take a flange nut and get these started on there hand tight. So this one here, I did what I thought I might have to do. The washer, I just took a little bit of material off one side to flatten it out. That way it'll clear that rivet. So put that down, you take your hex bolt, pass that through, flange nut on this side, and then we can grab a 3/4 inch wrench and socket and snug all the hardware down. What we need to make sure and do now is come back and torque down all the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can grab one here at eTrailer, or a lot of times go to your local auto parts store. They'll have one there available you can rent. That'll finish up our look at and installation of the CURT Class 4 trailer hitch receiver on our 2014 Ram 3500 cab and chassis.